I wasn't planning on making a video talking about level 15 or any modern Clash Royale event after my last video, and even though I was making significant progress on my History of Expo video, I put that project on hold as soon as more information about the card evolution update came out. I made a video a couple months ago talking about the update for losers and how Clash Royale seemingly was going in a bad direction. I wasn't really planning on making any follow-ups because although May deserved, I don't like criticizing Supercell. However, I feel obligated to speak out because this game seems to only be going in a worse direction. I did mention a few months ago that Supercell was dead set on adding level 15 to Clash Royale in the first half of the year, and they kept to their word as it was just recently added despite the endless backlash it received. However, the information that we did not have when I made my last video was how they were going to implement it. I just assumed it would be like adding level 14, since how would any other method even begin to make sense, especially if there was no new mechanic to come with level 15. Well, on May 26th, we got a little more insight on how level 15 was going to work. It was confirmed level 15 would cost no gold, but instead a new item would be added called Elite Wildcards, which is what you would now get instead of extra gold. And you would essentially use these with no cost of gold to get a card from level 14 to level 15. And on top of that, they would be tripling the amount of gold in the economy. This announcement was very suspicious to me because why wouldn't leveling up cards cost gold? And if we don't need gold, then what's the point of tripling the amount of gold we get? Obviously, it helps players get to level 14, but it doesn't help currently maxed players who are sitting on 5 million gold get anywhere. They really are making this new level feel different than any other by calling it the elite level, saying that this isn't the max level, this is elite level. But there's literally nothing special about this level. They even confirmed on this day that the new card evolution feature would not be tied to level 15. Ultimately, I think that's pretty good, but then it just shows how unnecessary level 15 is at all. My guess is that card evolutions were originally planned to be tied to level 15 just like champions were to level 14, but then they decided to revert that decision due to the major backlash they were already getting. To my surprise, this video got a lot of positive response from the community, but I'm not sure why. Adding a new level still adds nothing new for the players, it's simply just taking away progress from already maxed players. So what if we don't need gold? It's still a grind everyone is now going to have to endure. There is literally no other reason for gold to exist other than to upgrade cards. They're just putting that grind into something else. Overall, I think they made this video because like with the addition of level 14, level 15 would be getting a Slash Royale event cutting the prices of cards a couple weeks before the update. They made sure to clarify what was happening with level 15 because during the last Slash Royale event, they didn't say they were adding a new level until a few days into the event, basically misleading people by giving them a false sense of generosity and making people waste their resources on cards they wouldn't have otherwise if they knew a new card level was coming. So although this was handled better than the last time, it doesn't take away from the fact that level 15 adds nothing cool for the players. If they had simply gone ahead and implemented the new level similarly to how they implemented level 14, I wouldn't even be making this video. But with the new blog posts that came out only days before the update, it was revealed that this was way worse than I originally thought. Supercell confirmed in this blog post that players would need 50,000 wildcards for each and every card to get them to level 15. Surely the conversion rates of overflow cards into elite wildcards would not make the grind seem so daunting. I imagined common cards would convert into 1, rare cards would be 10, and 1 additional 0 for each ascending rarity. And even then, to match the amount of grinding it took to get cards from level 13 to level 14, Supercell would have to supplement every single existing level 14 card with a huge amount of elite wildcards. And remember, if you were a maxed level 13 player before they added level 14, it would have taken about a year of active grinding to max your collection besides champions once again. But when I saw the conversion rates, I couldn't even believe how low they were. Commons give you 2. Rares give you 10, epics give you 50, legendaries give you 200, and champions give you 500. Magic books will also only give you 5,000. Way lower than I originally thought, except for commons surprisingly. Now one benefit to elite wildcards is that you get them when any card overflows and you can apply them to any card. So if I get 16 bombers, I get 32 elite wildcards that I can use towards the Royal Giant. But if you're trying to max a bunch of cards, elite a bunch of cards, which is ultimately the long-term goal for most Clash Royale players, you're going to be grinding for years unless some serious changes are made to the economy. To upgrade each card to level 15, you will need either 25,000 commons, 5,000 rares, 1,000 epics, 250 legendaries, 100 champions, or 10 magic books. To give you an idea of how much it took to level up each card from level 13 to level 14, you needed 2,500 commons, 700 rares, 40 epics, 6 legendaries, or 1 magic book. Champions were added at the same time as level 14, so there's no comparison there. These numbers are huge. Just to let you know, you only need 12,086 commons to get a common card from level 1 to level 14, so it's literally more than double the grind to go from level 14 to level 15 than it is to go from level 1 to level 14. It's an even higher multiplier with some of the other rarities. Basically, if you are a fully maxed player, you're further away from maxing your account than someone who just started the game before the update. Back in 2016, you originally needed 86 legendaries to max a single one out, but that was way too high, and there were only 2 in the game at the time, so it was reduced to 36, and later increased to 42 when level 14 came out. That original 86 is nearly 1/3 of the number of legendaries you need to get each legendary from level 14 to level 15. Granted, it's much easier to obtain legendaries nowadays, but you get the point. So how many elite wildcards can one player expect to obtain each month given the current system? Well, let's go through everything you can do. Since you won't need gold, you can buy all the cards from the shop every day. If you do this, keep your chest cycle moving, claim all your crown chests, buying everything you can from the season shop, doing your daily tasks, participating in Clan Wars 2 every week, pushing on the Path of Legends, and doing well in the global tournaments, you will obtain an estimated 99,000 elite wildcards per season or month, which allows you to max out 2 cards. With 109 cards in the game, that is an estimated 54 months or about 4.5 years. And remember, that's how long it will take if you already had all of your cards, including champions, at level 14 and you're an incredibly active player. If you include all the Diamond Pass rewards and you get all of the premium rewards in every global tournament, that is an additional estimated 34,000 wildcards. So as you can see, level 15 is far worse of a grind than level 14, and Supercell acknowledges this actually. They say, elite level is not something that we expect everybody to unlock right away, and it's also the reason why we have locked no extra content behind level 15. Getting to elite level has been designed to be a more passive experience for players and something that will take time rather than resources to earn. Elite levels have been designed as a more passive progression similar to masteries. And finally they say, we saw such a vocal response against adding a new level mainly due to the amount of gold it takes to level up cards to max level. So we went back to the drawing board and settled on this new, more passive level up method. It's slower, but it no longer requires getting lucky with card progress or saving up huge amounts of gold. There is a lot to unpack here. I don't even know where to start. How does this new system change any of the problems people have with levels? I think the amount of time it takes to grind card levels is what people hate most about it. Not that it costs too much gold. The grind is going to be exactly the same. You open chests, push on ladder, play challenges. The grind and the time is the problem. It doesn't matter if it's 0 gold or not. I don't like collecting my gold like I'm a greedy goblin who just likes staring at it. It's like Supercell saying, hey guys, we understand the Mega Knight is unhealthy for the game and causes a lot of frustration. So to combat the overusage, we're adding a Super Mega Knight for 1 less elixir that deals twice the damage. Therefore, no one will want to use the regular Mega Knight anymore. They're just eliminating a problem by creating a bigger one. The elite wildcards are the Super Mega Knight, but it's even worse because there's no reason to be adding it in the first place. At least with level 14, they were essentially saying, trust us, we have a long-term plan and a real reason for adding this level. And they even acknowledged it would be controversial from the start. The only reason they have ever given for level 15 was because they claim people like leveling up their cards. Unironically, like they just get some sort of dopamine hit by seeing a higher number appear above their card. I don't think anyone's buying this, but they have nothing else to say because they know that adding new levels only benefits them and not the players. And they know for a fact they're lying. They're not just pretending they can't see community feedback either, because they're saying in this recent post, we saw such a vocal response against adding a new level, but then their reasoning for adding a new level a few months ago was because players like upgrading their cards and thus claimed the logical reasoning is that players want new levels. But they can never say it's just for the money, which it so obviously is. I don't know how anyone defends Supercell when they do stuff like this. I really do love this game and I hate criticizing Supercell this much, but I'm genuinely afraid of the direction this game is going in and frustrated at how Supercell is treating their loyal player base. The next thing I wanted to talk about is when they said, elite levels have been designed as a more passive progression similar to masteries. Levels are not just a side quest that can be done to earn a little badge or some gems. Levels matter. If you you want to win clan wars and push to the top consistently, you need maximum levels or you'll just never make it. It's okay for masteries to take a while because you're not at a competitive disadvantage for not doing them, whereas if you don't grind for levels, eventually players who are very committed to the game are going to level up a bunch of cards. Now, Supercell has stated that in the Path of Legends, the main competitive game mode other than Grand Challenges will still be capped at level 14 for 6 months after the update. But that's only enough time for most players to get 12 to 13 level 15 cards if they're already maxed, and with balance changes every 2 months, who knows what cards are going to be in the meta by the end of the year. And one more thing I wanted to talk about that they mentioned was that level 15 is something that will take time rather than resources to earn, which I just don't understand at all because you're committing your time to obtain resources. It's not like a daily login where you just claim 100 wild cards a day and that's it. You need to play clan wars, challenges, and regular battles in order to obtain the resources to get your cards to level 15. And nothing is stopping someone from spending $1,000 to mass open a bunch of chests in the shop to obtain an absurd amount of elite wildcards in one day either. So what is this time nonsense? Level 14 took time as well. I don't see the difference here. I wondered why in the most recent years we started getting new levels when for most of 2016 through most of 2021 we got no new level. And even in 2016 I think adding level 13 was perfectly justified because the leveling system between rarities was inconsistent. Clash Royale has always needed money, so why are we getting so many levels now? Well, I can't say for sure, but there does seem to be a heavy correlation we're not acknowledging here. And that was the fact that we got so many new cards added from 2016 through 2020. Adding a new card was essentially a nerf to progression though, as it would take a ton of resources to max out each one. And with adding a new card usually at least every other month, it would be impossible for a casual free-to-play player to max their account. And when a new card did come out, pay-to-win whales would spend hundreds if not thousands to have that card maxed in one day. But Supercell hardly ever adds cards anymore. We are living in the longest time in Clash Royale history without even a single card being added as of June 2023. Nearly 8 months since we got a card, and we've only gotten 7 new cards in the last 2.5 years. I won't lie when I say players were actually kind of frustrated that new cards were being added all the time, saying it made the game too hard to balance or that it was a nerf to progression. But Supercell sort of has to keep that grind alive for constant revenue flow, so I feel like new levels are the result of a lack of cards to keep people grinding. Sure, new cards may be a nerf to progression overall, but if the choice is between that and artificial grinding from new levels, of course I'm gonna pick new cards, because it's not just a progression nerf, we get something cool and new to play with that makes the game feel fresh. And I really do miss getting new cards every few months personally, even if it was something lame like skeleton dragons. Anything is better than nothing, and levels are nothing. And you can't tell me it's due to a lack of ideas. There are so many ideas that the community comes up with. I want to see a new prince that can charge through small units and only stops when it hits a big unit that it can't kill with its charge. And when in doubt, just rip a troop from Clash of Clans. We won't care. And the last thing I really want to talk about is the future of Clash Royale. I'm writing this script before the update, so I don't know how card evolutions are yet, but they seem cool. But when it comes to creating a new grind, there has to be something worth grinding for. And that's not paywalling features behind higher levels, but actually adding something that makes the grind obtain something we couldn't get with the already existing levels. I really don't want to see a level 16 next year and go through this entire pointless process again. Part of what keeps people going on the grind is knowing that there is a finish line. Once I max a card, it will never be at a level disadvantage. But since they keep moving the goalpost, I personally have lost so much motivation to grind for level 15. What's the point if when I max out, a new level will come along and add years of grinding for something I had already achieved multiple times? It's a race that never ends, and I think a lot of people are going to be disincentivized to spend money when they know in a couple of years it will just be taken away again. I probably wouldn't have much of a problem with Supercell adding more pointless grind if they had a genuine reason to. For example, if Supercell had said at the end of 2022, we're going to be removing the Book of Books from the Pass Royale in the Q1 update for 2023 next year. It's unhealthy for the game's economy and we never should have added it in the first place, so take advantage of it while you can, it will still be in the pass from now until then. But instead they advertised the update as getting more bang for your buck, which completely misled players. Obviously players are going to be unhappy about a nerf to progression regardless, but if you give a warning in advance and give a logical, honest reason as to why you're doing it, even if it's not a benefit to the players, I think think it will go down a lot better. You're going to do it anyway, and you're not going to be able to avoid all backlash no matter what you do. They could have even phrased it as that it was meant to benefit free-to-play players by explaining how the Book of Books was added to Pass Royale when champions weren't in the game yet and players using them on champions was unintended, and it was causing a massive disparity between free-to-play players and players who spent just a few bucks, hurting the game's economy. And none of that is necessarily a lie. I'm trying to explain that Supercell doesn't need to sugarcoat everything in an attempt to gaslight the players, especially because it just doesn't work. But in the case of level 15, I think it's pure greed. There's no long-term plan to incorporate this level in a unique way, there's no gameplay difference with the new level, they just want to give people a reason to buy the Pass Royales and buy more chests. And that's the one thing they can never and will never admit. Also, no matter how much backlash they get for level 15, they will add a level 16 at some point. I know this for sure because they capped the elite wildcards at 400,000. Why not at least 5 million like with star points and gold? Because once people max out their collections for the third time, they don't want those people stocking up to be fully prepared for the next level so that they have to spend a ton of time grinding again. I don't know if we'll get overflow gold if we try to go past the 400,000 wildcard cap, but if we do, it's just so unnecessary because if you're getting to the point where you're overflowing elite wildcards, you have no use for gold. It's crazy how with every update it seems we're getting some new currency that Supercell essentially ditches within a few months for something new. Currently we have gold, star points, banner tokens, season tokens, evolution shards, gems, trade tokens, wildcards, and now elite wildcards. Level 15 thankfully won't be available on the Path of Legends until 2024, so the only place it will really be seen for a while is Clan Wars. But anyway, I still think this update is going in a better direction because at least we're getting new content with card evolutions and I'm excited to test them out. And even if evolutions fall flat, I'm just happy to see something new. 2021 and 2022 had some great updates, so I'm confident that even though there's some bad stuff coming this year, we'll still have some good stuff to look forward to down the line. I really just wanted to get my thoughts out there. I genuinely don't like hating on Supercell, but I feel like this stuff just has to be said. I only made this video because I want the game to be better. Clash Royale is genuinely my favorite game of all time and I want it to succeed. I'm pretty optimistic about the game's future because if I'm being honest, I don't think it can get much worse. Let me know what you think about the update though, and especially level 15. Is my criticism fair or am I just going too hard? Thank you so much for watching and have a good one.